One of my favorite games of the week is the Miami Dolphins at the Los Angeles Chargers. We're into the 425 slate here. They played last year. Chargers beat the Dolphins pretty handily in December. Chargers are favored by 3 here. Storyline-wise, of course, you have Tua Tagovailoa and Justin Herbert. Went back-to-back in the draft. Tua 5 to the Dolphins. Herbert 6 to the Chargers. Went back-to-back in the draft back in 2020. And both teams have high expectations this year, right? The Dolphins think they're going to challenge in the AFC East. The Chargers are always trying to challenge in the AFC West, think they're going to be right up there with the Chiefs. Chargers by 3 here. What are you looking for in this game?
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple of bets talking about the Chargers defense, and it was going to be much better. But, I mean, by far, to me, the more compelling side of the ball is the offensive side. Justin Herbert, Kellen Moore. Does that unlock something in Justin Herbert? Does it even need to be unlocked? Like, was Justin Herbert actually just dealing with that busted-ass rib all season? And if you put him in there fully healthy, he's actually going to be much more aggressive and fire the ball deeper down the field.
Maybe, but it was 3 years of the low average depth of target. And again, I've said this to you before. I explained it away a little bit. Maybe it's because the Chargers are have been one of the more pass-happy teams on early downs. And if you are buying into this whole pass to set up the run and pass on early downs because it's more effective than just, running into a brick wall and having 2nd and 8, does that affect your ADOT, your average depth of target? Does that affect things? So I don't know if that's the stat that I'm looking for with Herbert. I want more big-time throws out of him because I know he's capable, right? That's what Justin Herbert should be, and can Kellen Moore unlock that, especially with Quentin Johnston in the mix now and what the receiver talent looks like for the Chargers.
He's a very interesting quarterback because you don't typically find guys that are as physically talented as he is, as capable of spectacular big-time throws, as capable of threading the needle into a closing window with, defenders all over it, who also skew conservative and careful with the football. Like leading the league for 2 straight years in turnover-worthy play rate should not be connected to a guy with that kind of physical talent. It just shouldn't be. So that leads everybody to think that there's more there, that he can be, if he just gets a bit more aggressive, we can be seeing something truly insane. But he might just be that style of quarterback. The way Aaron Rodgers has always skewed low on interceptions, at the expense of some more throwaways and some more sacks and that kind of thing. Like, he just skews a little bit in that direction. Maybe that's going to be Justin Herbert as well. But that's the thing to watch. Like, he's got playmakers. He may have the best offensive line he's ever had in front of him. He's got a new offensive coordinator. Now let's see something different than we've seen from Herbert so far in his NFL career.
Mentioned last year's game. Chargers won 23-17. It wasn't handily, but they won by 6. In that game, Tua Tagovailoa goes 10 for 28 for 145 yards. Remember, Tua throughout the season was tearing it up statistically. Yards per attempt, EPA per play was out of this world. Tyreek Hill was on pace for 2,000 receiving yards early on. Him and Waddle as deep threats. And when you watch the film in this game, the Chargers were really good, man, defensively. I mean, if you are...
So you told me you just dove into the tape and sort of looked at this again. Now, the narrative on this game is the Chargers figured out the Dolphins and Tua's offense. They crowded the middle of the field. They forced everything wide. They made Tua target the sideline with his little noodle arm, and he couldn't get it done. And this is the blueprint. This was the answer. Was that actually what happened?
I don't think it was blueprinty. I really think that the Chargers just played really, really well and really physical. Michael Davis, the big outside corner, he was covering Waddle and Tyreek Hill and physical. Every time they had a solo receiver, the Chargers would press him and just disrupt. And what happened was most of the windows were tight for Tua. And when there were tight windows, he couldn't complete. He went 10 for 28. He wasn't completing passes. There were also a couple busted coverages. Waddle was wide open on a post, and Tua missed him. So what you got in this game was most throws were difficult because the Chargers were just playing physical and just taking away the easy stuff. And then every now and again, the Dolphins did get open, and Tua wasn't ready for it. He wasn't ready for the open throws, and he missed it. So Tua was bad in the game, and the Chargers they played really, really well, both up front from a run game perspective and from a coverage perspective. So if you're the annual Chargers hype, watching that game will make you feel like, oh, they could do anything, the Chargers, because that was their defense at their pinnacle, and they were missing the player, I believe, and they were missing Joey Bosa. So I like the Chargers because I think what they're capable of doing against this Miami team. Because again, if you take that game out, when you see this on paper, Chargers with their run defense woes and everything, it should be a good matchup for Miami. But the Chargers, they had a good game plan and they did execute it extremely well last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a big question. This is the team that gave Miami's offense the biggest issue last season. So I think Miami is facing a year where they have to prove, McDaniel in particular, that they've got counters. They've figured out what's the next step. This weird arms race in the NFL right now is generally, it's like the Shanahan coaching tree versus the Vic Fangio defense sparring with each other, right? And what's interesting is the Shanahan coaching tree side of things, instead of, like, usually I think they tried to avoid those defenses that cause them problems. This coaching tree seems to be embracing it and going, okay, that's the thing that's causing us issues. Go hire me one of those guys. That's who's going to run our defense. I don't even care what our defense does, but it means I can practice against that every week and figure out how to get better. So Mike McDaniel went to the source. He went and hired Vic Fangio and has spent the offseason practicing against it. So what has McDaniel done to evolve this offense and to make sure that they stay a step ahead? Because remember, the start of last season, the Dolphins offense was the hottest offense in the NFL. It was just roasting people, like absolutely torching the league. And then Tua got his concussions, things like that game happened, and the whole thing sort of unraveled a little bit late in the season. But, I mean, if he's able to, I've had an off season now, I'm back to where we started last year. I'm a step ahead again. Like, if he's done that, then, again, one of the week one overreactions is going to be, holy crap, the Dolphins are going to the Super Bowl. Tua is going to be MVP, like all that stuff.
Oh, it's going to be one of the best games. And again, just referencing last year's game, it wasn't a pure Fangio scheme. It was a lot of single high on early downs, tight man coverage type of stuff, and then they play more of a aggressive cover two on third down. And if they do that again, I think that is a challenge for this Dolphins offense. So give me the Chargers, man, to cover the 3.
I'm going to stay with Miami.
Ooh, going with Miami. How many places have we differed? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 places, 5 places we've differed so far.
That's East Coast going west. It's a whole different ballgame.
It's okay. It's like just it's a 1 o'clock game.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so that's okay.